Hey there guys, thank you so much for joining me, the Indie Gamer here, back with another video. Xbox Game Pass has become widely regarded as one of the best deals in gaming, and just seems to get better and better with the amount of quality content consistently being added. So, to highlight some of its slightly more hidden gems, in this video I'm going to be doing a rundown of my top 10 best Xbox Game Pass indie games that I would highly recommend checking out. With Game Pass being the ever-evolving service that it is, and the amount of depth that it has in its catalogue, there were a ton of awesome Game Pass games that I couldn't quite squeeze on today's list. So if you'd like me to do a further Game Pass video similar to this one, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to make that happen. So with all that said, let's jump into the rundown of my top 10 best indie games featured in Xbox Game Pass in 2020. First up, and at number 10 is Steamworld Dig 2. Steamworld Dig 2 is a 2D Metroidvania platformer with a ton of charm and a lot to love about it. The game focuses mainly on exploration and mining for resources, along with some clever puzzles and combat too. Where the game shines the most though is in its super satisfying gameplay loop of harvesting for materials and upgrading your gear, keeping you constantly coming back for more. Steamworld Dig 2 isn't the longest game ever, but it's a charming and thoroughly enjoyable adventure every step of the way. I highly recommend giving this Metroidvania gem a go. The Gardens Between is a single-player time-bending puzzle adventure game about two best friends stuck in a surreal, dreamlike, puzzle-filled world. Work together to use each character's unique abilities to control the flow of time and solve a series of superbly crafted, nostalgia-themed puzzles. If you're looking for a game that's a soothing and relaxing break off the back of something more high impact, The Gardens Between could be just the game for you. Lonely Mountains Downhill is a super fun downhill mountain biking game that is definitely one of the biggest hidden gems of Game Pass right now. The game keeps things nice and simple, just you against the clock in a descent down the mountain from peak to valley. This game perfectly nails the sensation of speed, momentum, and shredding up those tasty power slides. Tearing down the game's excellently designed routes really does feel awesome. Lonely Mountains does a great job of being easy to pick up but trickier to master. But with its brilliant and constantly hilarious crashes, the game always manages to entertain even when you're failing. All in all, Lonely Mountains Downhill is a ton of fun and I highly recommend giving it a shot. In at number 7, and after a massive 26-year hiatus, the 30th of April saw the much anticipated return of the Streets of Rage franchise with the awesome Streets of Rage 4. With Sega stepping completely aside and development and publishing being handled by a collaboration between indie studios Dotemu, Lizardcube and Guard Crush, the Streets of Rage franchise is reborn in style. Streets of Rage 4 does an awesome job of paying strong tribute to the past games whilst at the same time cleverly freshening things up for the modern era. If you miss those arcade glory days and you're craving that retro nostalgia kick, Streets of Rage 4 has you well and truly covered. Next up, and at number 6 is Children of Morta. Children of Morta is a story-driven action RPG where you don't just play as a single character but instead a whole family. Gameplay-wise, Children of Morta plays out as a roguelike hack-and-slash dungeon crawler, but if roguelikes aren't usually your thing, don't be too put off as Children of Morta cleverly manages to find a way to make you feel like you're always progressing and moving the story forward. Children of Morta is an excellent game and a super elegant package definitely worth checking out. Moving into the top 5, and next up is Overcooked 2. Overcooked 2 is a fun and frantic co-op cooking game for up to 4 players. For me, the genius of the Overcooked games comes down to the way they force you to communicate in order to be successful. As you progress, the game throws more and more curveballs at you, like dynamic stages that crash down around you, whilst you do everything you can to hold it all together and get the meals on the plate. Overcooked 2 is a total blast to play, and if you're craving an awesome co-op game to get stuck into, look no further than this gem. At this stage, Dead Cells likely needs no introduction, being one of the biggest breakout indie hits of the last few years. In essence, the game is a fast-paced, roguelike action platform with some of the most satisfying combat around. By design, Dead Cells can be a pretty punishing game, as in roguelike fashion, death will see you back at square one. And while most of what you gain on your run will be lost in the process, you do carry across some abilities for keeps, which makes you feel like you're always growing stronger. If you're up for the challenge, Dead Cells is a superb game and is definitely worth checking out. Moving into the top 3 with what remains of Edith Finch, and this game really is such a beautifully crafted experience and quite simply one of the best narrative-driven games out there. You play as Edith, a member of the believed to be cursed Finch family, and on a return to the characterful yet higgledy-piggledy family home, you gain unique insights into each family member's last moments by living them out firsthand. Edith Finch is powerful, heartbreaking and incredibly evocative. So much attention to detail has gone into making sure that this game is the incredibly moving masterpiece that it is. If you enjoy narrative-driven games, what remains of Edith Finch really is a must-play. Coming in at the number 2 position is the incredible Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Ori and the Blind Forest was such a stunning game, but with Will of the Wisps, Moon Studios managed to take what was already one of the best Metroidvania games out there and take it up yet another notch. Most notably, Will of the Wisps does a superb job of fleshing out the combat system, one of the weaker spots from the original, and it certainly makes for a more rounded experience. Will of the Wisps is a game that shines in so many ways, from its beautifully artistic visuals to its excellent level design, and its sublime soundtrack to the emotional story that it tells. Both Ori games really are pure class, and are among some of the best titles of this generation. And speaking of one of the best titles of this generation, taking the top position of my best indie games in Game Pass, for me had to be none other than Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight, simply put, is a complete masterpiece, and definitely a game that holds a very special place in my heart. The game is a beautifully hand-drawn Metroidvania taking place in the intricately crafted labyrinth known as Hallownest. This is a game that does little to hold your hand, and by design this makes perfect sense, as the world of Hallownest is such an intriguing and beautiful place to explore. The game's art style, sound design and music all deserve a special mention too, as they really are truly magnificent and completely draw you into the game's enchanting atmosphere. Hollow Knight's combat is super tight and oh so satisfying too, and the incredible boss battles are simply outstanding. I could honestly talk for days about just how much I adore this game and the way it so convincingly nails literally everything it does. Hollow Knight is a game of the absolute finest quality, and I cannot recommend it more highly. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you saw anything that caught your eye from today's rundown, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. If you did enjoy this, it would be massively appreciated if you would hit that like button. And please do feel free to share this out on social media and subscribe if you would like to see more future videos. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.